Yo,
Hello.
Grace, does that intro music get you lit like it does for me? Because I'm always like,
Bopping.
yeah,
Yeah. No, it's a good beat. It's definitely like hypes up, and because it gets faster, right? It like starts. It's
yeah.
like dun 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 dun. You're like, whoa. Yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Definitely. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome, come one, come all.
Yes.
Usually we ask you where you're coming from, and we can ask that again, but I'm interested. Is anyone coming from Texas? Because today we're
Ooh.
talking about Project Texas, which is TikTok's new super secret project. And I wanted to know any Texas folks out there. And maybe you have an inside scoop and look into what TikTok is up to. You can let us in on. Let us
True.
know.
I've never actually been to Texas.
Oh, awkward. I see.
Oh, we got
Oh, hey
Tammy's in
Tammy.
Texas.
That's right. Well,
Nice.
yes. Unfortunately for you, Tammy, this actually, I was kind of kidding, doesn't have anything to do with Texas specifically. They're just calling it that. But we're going to let you know everything you need to know about Project Texas. And yeah, so why don't we just dive in, I guess.
Yeah, let's do
So
it.
firstly, let's just sort of address what is Project Texas. For those of you who don't know, this is an initiative, which I'm going to pull up some stuff on screen so we can follow along. Project Texas is a new initiative to help TikTok remain and survive in the United States. As I'm sure some of you guys know, TikTok's been in some hot water with some government officials who are worried about TikTok as a national security threat. And Project Texas is TikTok's response to try and get lawmakers to like not worry about it, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back to actually July of 2022. So this isn't necessarily like they just announced it. It's been around. They announced it a while back. But I think now the conversation is getting a little more heated each day. And I guess we really also go back to like 2019, 2020 when the Trump administration basically said they wanted to ban TikTok because of cybersecurity concerns. So
Yeah.
I feel like this conversation's been like 4 years in the making at this point, but it's like really coming to a head now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So what this is, as you can read here, it's a $1.5 billion effort. They're calling Project Texas, that aims to make people not worried about TikTok as a national security threat. Some of the things that they are working on changing, there's a few things that are like most specifically pointed out, and I'll move to another more detailed report here. So don't get scared. We're going to make sure that this is all really easy to understand. But this is like a legal website that's telling us this. So there's three specific risks that the government is afraid of with TikTok and ByteDance, their parent company. Number one is the unauthorized access to data that China could obtain that's held by TikTok, because ByteDance is a Chinese company. Many people worry that the Chinese government has access to like all of these data whenever they ask. ByteDance will like have to give it to them. Secondly, state influence over content. So people worry that the Chinese government might be able to influence the algorithm, influence what people are seeing in their For You page, and that it could be, burying content that is critical of China and, propping up content that is supportive of the Chinese Communist Party. And lastly, untrustworthy software and systems. Just that ByteDance is not maintaining appropriate security measures for users' data. And so they're doing a few things to try and remedy this. Grace, you want to talk a little bit about what they're up to?
Yeah, so I think the main proposal of Project Texas, well, I actually scroll up a little. They basically
Sorry.
instated this this TikTok US security. I think it's a little bit up from here. Oh, anyway, they basically made this like new company kind of, and they're trying to take all the US operations, all of TikTok's US data, and move it to a separate operation. So they're basically severing kind of the relationship, the day-to-day operations relationship between the US version of TikTok and the rest of TikTok. So the US will have like special, like people who are, employed in the US who are managing all of TikTok stuff. All of the TikTok user data from the US will be hosted on Oracle's cloud, which is a US based company. And then they also created this transparency center, which I think it'd be fun to like pull up that video too, because it's interesting. But where there's just like this place where people physically can go and like understand, learn more about how TikTok's algorithm works. This is a video that a journalist named Taylor Lorenz made about it.
Can you hear this video? Is it talking over you? When I play?
I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. So they're really trying to push this whole, we're transparent and we're trying to do the right thing by by basically moving all of US TikTok stuff into one place. And I feel like this whole transparency center, this one is in LA. They're actually planning to make ones in DC and Singapore as well. But clearly they're on a mission to convince policymakers, but also maybe the US public and maybe the rest of the world that they're like really trying to do something about this. TikTok CEO is set to testify next month. So I think that this is all leading up to that moment. I don't know, Jack, what do you think? Like, do you think that TikTok could still be banned after all of this and like 4 years later?
I honestly don't.
Okay.
I honestly don't think we're going to see TikTok be banned. I think, firstly, I think if they actually do make these changes, it will appease a lot of people, right? Like separating more distinctly TikTok America from TikTok, from ByteDance rather. Making sure that our data is housed in a secure place. I think that's like really what people are most worried about.
Yeah.
And I think if they like actually commit to this, it'll be less of a problem that keeps like popping up.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've also seen, I think you mentioned this, but like in the past, TikTok has gotten into trouble about all this, and it was taken to court over whether or not like TikTok could even be banned, and they ruled that it can't. And so, I just don't imagine that we're going to be, we're going to be banning TikTok anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think they'd sooner like change the algorithm and change their operations before they do that. Also because like we're such a huge market, like America banning TikTok also would be so bad for their business, like, which is clearly why they're putting in $1.5 billion into this. And so, I just think they'll do everything in their power to not, make it under scrutiny.
Right. Yeah. I feel like knowing that they literally tried to do this 3 years ago, and like Trump's administration said, place an executive order, you have to ban TikTok. It went to the federal court and they were like, no, this is not going to happen. So we have that precedent already. So it's like, if they bring the same arguments and try to push that again, I feel like it's just not going to work. But then it's like, well, what is the alternative? And so I think TikTok is doing, honestly, like, I think this is like a pretty decent proposal of like, okay, well, if you're not going to ban TikTok, what are you going to do? Like, you can't just continue operating like you have. So I think this is an interesting proposal. I think it really just depends on if, one, policymakers understand like this whole thing. Because I think that's like something I have seen in the past is a lot of policymakers aren't super steeped in how tech works, how like things can change, or just like relationships between tech and users and all these other things. And so I think it really depends on them understanding how this is going to work at like a more technical level, which, yeah, I don't know. That's the challenge in my mind of just like, which I guess was why they're doing this transparency center and really trying to like literally show them the code. Like part of that center, you can go through the algorithm of TikTok, which is kind of interesting. So, yeah.
I think another interesting thing that we've obviously been speaking about the whole time, but it's like, why are they doing this? And I think it's more so for lawmakers and like journalists and people who are, you know, who are scrutinizing TikTok more than like the individual. You can see here that they sent this letter from TikTok. Oh wait, never mind. You can't see here. 1 second.
I can pull it up on the screen.
There.
Okay, you got it.
They sent this letter to 9 senators who all have been, scrutinizing TikTok. They've sent a letter to TikTok addressing their concerns, and they sent this long letter back to them about their concerns and trying to remedy them. And I feel like it's interesting. I always feel like it's interesting that like lawmakers are really, I feel like, caught up in this and really concerned about this. But I also feel like individuals are not. Like, do you know anyone who's like really concerned about not just TikTok, honestly, but I feel like maybe this is overreacting. But I'm like, I was gonna say, like, do you really know anyone like our age who's really concerned about their data online at this point? Like, I feel like young people don't care.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think specifically around TikTok, I don't personally know anyone who's like freaking out that their data is being accessed. I think more people are like worried that TikTok would be banned than worried about their data, which is an interesting thing. Like, I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Like, maybe we have been too lax with like people accessing data. And obviously TikTok's not the first one to do this. Like, there's been so much stuff that Facebook is has dealt with over the years about like using their data to better serve ads and all that stuff. So I almost feel like people are they just think that companies will do this, which is actually really sad because I remember like, back like 10, 15 years ago, it was like, don't ever give your name online. Don't ever give your age or like anything about you. Like, that was what I was taught as like a kid, basically, when the internet was kind of like starting to bloom. And I don't know. I also think about like, there are like teenagers using TikTok today. And I feel like they're even more on that spectrum of they just like are so used to having these platforms and like giving out personal data and stuff. So I don't know. I think, there is something to be said about like individual people should care more about these issues and cybersecurity in general. But I think right now, like, they're not as much.
I also think like the term like my data isn't secure is like super vague, right? Like, I think what most people think of with data, it's like, oh, like I'm giving them data so the FYP is better. Like, so my algorithm is better and like the ads that I get are more tailored to me. Like, I think that's what a lot of people think about like your online data, and they're like, doesn't sound so bad.
Right.
And so I understand that, like, I myself wouldn't consider myself someone who's like too concerned about my data. Granted, I've been putting my likeness online for like a decade or more, just through content. So like, I'm not that afraid of that. But I think a lot of young people sort of like already feel like all their information's already out there. And like, it's a lost cause almost with like data and like privacy. And I feel like young people don't care anymore, honestly. It's like, and I feel like it's also like always sort of been the older generations who've been more concerned about data, also because probably they have more to lose, right? They have like more money. They're probably afraid of hacks. and
Yeah.
spyware and things like that. And yeah, so I wonder if that has something to do with it. Is like they have more to lose than like the younger generation who has like no money.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. It's like, yeah, like what is the downfall? I also think that the risk, at least the kind of like rhetoric that I see in articles about this topic, the risk of like the Chinese government having our data is, yeah, it feels vague, or it's like, what is that? What are they going to do with it? You know,
Yeah.
like, I feel like every app nowadays you have to say, like, ask to not track, or like allow whatever, allow them to use my data. And in that little modal, they literally say like it's for a better experience. And so it's like, yeah, of course I want a better experience. Like if you're gonna have my data anyway, I want a better experience. But yeah, so I think that the threat of the Chinese government having your data, like it's just so vague and like not, and it is like, we can't, I think a lot of the anxiety is, and you know, it's anxiety. It's like, what if they could do something with it? It's not that they're necessarily doing something right now that we have full proof of. So I think that's like part of the part of why this has like drawn out so long. And honestly, like I thought more people would care about it like today, like right now. But I think the hype isn't there anymore, because we've also gone through this like multiple times in the past. 2020 probably being the biggest like incidence of like, oh my God, TikTok is dying right now. So yeah, I think they need to pick up steam on the issue if they really want people to like care about it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that like we've gotten so worn down with like not trust, or like, you know, like people being skeptical by these companies, but nothing happening, right? Like like you hear, like, oh, TikTok is a national security threat, but then it's like, okay, but it's still here and it's been here for years. Like at a certain point, you just start to be like, okay, now what? Like do something about it or don't. And yeah, maybe we are getting worn down. It's a funny thing is like when something is bad, but like there's nothing we can do about it. Really, I mean, I guess you could not use the platform, but like, I don't know.
It feels like there's not like actionable steps or something. It's like, okay, I don't know what to do about this.
Interesting.
I guess if TikTok did get banned, I think that's such an interesting thought experiment though. Like what would happen? Do you think creators would like what platform would creators go to? Or would there be a new one that emerges that's like trying to redo TikTok?
Yeah, I would say that probably. I feel like
interesting.
Like same way that like after Vine went down, or not went down, but was bought, like right after that, they were trying to make like Vine clones, and none of them like really picked up. Well, actually, how much later was like Musical.ly after Vine?
I don't know. I feel like it was around for a while and then picked up and then got like exponential growth eventually. I feel like it was a few years later. So wait, what do you think Musical.ly was a Vine clone? Was that what it was? I don't even really know.
I don't think it was a clone, but I think it was like definitely inspired by because you know, like I think still like a lot of TikTok's early function of like, at first it was only like 15 seconds or less. Like that feels like Vine to me.
That's true.
And like Vine definitely had, I feel like some of obviously not nearly the level of sophistication I feel like as the FYP, but it definitely had like that vibe where you were just like scrolling and you would see like people that you weren't following who were making content that you liked. It wasn't necessarily everyone you were following, which I think was like sort of new for a social as well.
Right. Yeah, that was like, I feel like that was pretty. Yeah, that was an innovation. Now, like every platform has that paradigm of recommendation. I don't know. I feel like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts have a decent amount of traction though currently. Like I think I saw some headline the other day. It was like YouTube Shorts has surpassed 50 billion views daily, which is a lot of watch time, you know? And Also, they rolled out revenue on YouTube Shorts. So creators now can earn money in the same way that they can with like YouTube long form.
Yeah.
I think Instagram Reels is also coming along. So I think these are like pretty decent alternatives that if TikTok did get banned or like disappeared for whatever reason, I think people would go to like YouTube Shorts or potentially Instagram Reels. Because I think at the end of the day, like if you're going to be a creator, ideally you want to be rewarded. And any new random app doesn't have that, pull yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think the revenue could be like, you know what? Okay, no. I think creators would go to YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, get their bag, get the money, make content there. Because I feel like also like a lot of creators on TikTok are trying to have YouTube as an end game. So it's like this is just a shortcut in a way.
Yeah.
But they would also at the same time be trying to post on all these like smaller, newer apps that pop up. Because the thing is, if you go to a newer platform, you probably have a higher chance that you can get big on that platform, but just by being one of the first ones,
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I think, I could see that happening. That's my theory.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if Project Texas flops, see you guys on YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. But yeah, I don't know. I think YouTube Shorts is probably the next front runner. Agreed. But I think TikTok just has its own culture. Like it'd be hard to replicate that.
That's true. But also if a bunch of creators go, like TikTok creators go to these platforms, they can like kind of instill that culture there too. I don't know. Could go either way. I also think that, so TikTok CEO set to testify in March. I think that we could see another zombie apocalypse thing for TikTok at that time where people start freaking out like TikTok's going to be banned. I think that could happen again. So
interesting.
If you are a TikTok creator, highly recommend starting to build another platform or just repurpose your content onto like YouTube Shorts or Reels or something, just to not have your all eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, as long as even the thought of a social media being banned, I feel like, make sure you're not just there. Go elsewhere as well.
Yeah. There's also just so many apps that are like come and go so quickly. Like remember Clubhouse that had a hot moment and now it's like, who knows what they're doing. I feel like Be Real is falling off.
Be Real is dead to me.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I haven't heard of that in months.
Yeah. Right. So it's like, I don't know. I think the strategy is you always have to just be aware of what's going on and you can learn about it here. But just like always be open to trying new platforms. Like at the end of the day, you can bring your content wherever and you can thrive on platforms just by putting in effort. But it's like which platforms you want to put in effort to is the most important part. But so I think like choosing one or two main platforms maybe, and then having a bunch of other ones that you're testing out. You're just like keeping an ear out for news and updates. Yeah.
Have to agree. I think experimental platforms are good, but have your home base. Cool. Well, Grace, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yes, of course, Jack.
Hope you guys are keeping up with all of this Project Texas stuff. It's really interesting. Let us know what you guys think. And as always, we will be here next week and every week after that. So make sure to keep up with us and our show. Subscribe, click the bell so you know when we go live. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.